Hey there, language learners. Welcome to Learning English with Podcast, where we make mastering English fun and easy. Let's dive into today's episode.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the podcast. I'm Emily.
And I'm Nick. It's so nice to have you here again. In today's episode, we're going to talk about something super important for everyday English conversations: how to ask and answer questions naturally.
That's right. Questions are everywhere in English. We use them to make friends, to ask for information, to continue conversations, and even just to show interest in what someone's saying. But for many English learners, it can be a bit confusing. When do you use do? When do you use are? How do you make it sound polite? And so on.
Exactly. So today, we'll go step by step and give you examples of both simple and slightly longer questions, plus how to respond in a natural way. This will really help you sound more fluent when talking with native speakers.
Let's start with the most common type. Yes, no questions. These are the questions that can be answered with yes or no. For example, do you like coffee, or are you busy right now?
Right. And here's the key difference. If the main verb is something like, want, know, or have, you'll usually start with do or does. For example, do you like movies? Or does she live in London?
But if the main verb is be, like am is are, you start with that instead. So you'd say, are you tired or is it raining? Instead of do you are tired, which sounds wrong.
Yes. And remember, the tone of your voice is also important. When asking a yes, no question, your intonation usually goes up at the end. Like this. Do you like pizza? It shows you're expecting an answer.
Exactly. And now let's talk about what questions. Those are the ones that start with what. Where, when, why, who, or how. These are used when you want more than just a yes or no.
For example, what do you do? Where are you from? When do you usually wake up? Why are you learning English? Or how was your day?
Let's take one of those. Where are you from? It's one of the most common questions when meeting new people. If someone asks you that, you can say something like, I'm from Indonesia, or I'm from Spain, but I live in London now. Try to give a bit more information to keep the conversation going.
Yes, exactly. If you just answer with one word, like Indonesia, the conversation can stop quickly. But if you add something more, it helps build a real connection. For example, I'm from Indonesia. I moved to London 2 years ago to study English. That sounds friendly and natural.
Good point. And here's another example. What do you do? This question usually means, what's your job? So if someone asks you that, you can say, I'm a teacher, or I work in marketing, or even I'm a student. You could also add a bit more. I'm a student. I'm studying computer science at university.
That's a great way to show more confidence. Now, another common how question is, how are you? This one is super common, and sometimes learners feel unsure about how to respond.
Yes, many learners just say, I'm fine, thank you, because that's what they learned first. But in natural English, people often say things like, I'm good, thanks. How about you? Or not too bad, how are you? It sounds more casual and friendly.
Exactly. And it's always good to add that little. How about you? Achi. The end. It shows that you care about the other person too, not just about giving an answer.
Right. Let's also talk about how to make your questions sound polite. Sometimes when we're speaking English, we don't want to sound too direct, especially when we're talking to someone we don't know well.
Yes. So instead of saying, where is the toilet? You can make it softer by saying, excuse me, could you tell me where the toilet is? Or instead of, give me the menu, say, could I have the menu, please?
Exactly. Just adding words like could you, would you mind, or please can make your English sound much more polite. It's very common in British English to use these polite forms. People will appreciate it.
And don't forget that your tone matters too. Even if your grammar is perfect, if your tone sounds too serious or flat, it can sound rude. Try to keep your voice friendly and relaxed.
That's true. Okay, now let's do a short practice example. Nick, let's pretend we've just met for the first time at a cafe.
All right, I'll start. Hi there. Are you waiting for someone?
Oh, no, I'm just having coffee by myself. How about you?
Same here. I come here often after work. By the way, what do you do?
I'm an English teacher. I teach online, actually. How about you?
I work in IT. I'm a software engineer. Where are you from originally?
I'm from Manchester, but I live in London now.
Nice. See? That's how a natural conversation flows. Each question and answer gives just enough information to keep it going, and it feels smooth, not forced.
Exactly. It's not just about grammar, it's about rhythm and connection. When you practice asking and answering questions like this, your confidence will grow naturally.
Let's move on to another important type of question. The choice question. These are questions where you give the listener two or more options to choose from. For example, do you want tea or coffee? Or would you like to sit inside or outside?
Yes, and these questions are great because they make it easier for the other person to answer. Instead of an open question where they have to think of something, they just pick an option. So if someone asks, do you want tea or coffee? You can simply say, tea, please, or I'll have coffee, thank you.
Exactly. And you can also use these types of questions to keep a conversation friendly. For example, if you're meeting a new friend, you could ask, do you prefer movies or books? Or would you rather go to the beach or the mountains? These kinds of questions can help you learn more about the person and make the talk more interesting.
That's a great point. Also, when you answer, try to expand your reply a little, not just pick one option. For example, I prefer books because I like reading before bed, or I like the beach because I love swimming. It gives the other person something to respond to.
Right. In natural conversation, short answers can stop the flow. So giving a little bit more detail makes you sound open and friendly.
Another thing to remember is how to answer negative questions. For example, don't you like coffee? Or aren't you coming today? These can be confusing for English learners because the logic is different in some languages.
Yeah, this one... can be tricky. If someone says, don't you like coffee? And you do like coffee, you can say, oh, I do. Or, yes, I do. But if you don't like it, you say, no, I don't. So the yes or no is based on the true meaning of your answer, not the form of the question.
Exactly. And for aren't you coming today? If you are coming, you say, yes, I am. If you're not, you say, no, I'm not. It's all about confirming or denying the real situation.
That's right. And if you're ever unsure, just focus on what you want to say, not the question's grammar. Say what's true for you, and that's what matters.
Let's also talk about how to answer when you don't know the answer to a question. Many learners feel uncomfortable when they can't answer quickly, but it's totally normal. You can say, I'm not sure. That's a good question, or I don't know, but I think. These phrases sound natural and help you keep talking.
Yes, and even adding something like, let me think, or I've never thought about that, makes you sound more fluent and confident. It shows that you're thinking in English, not just translating.
Exactly. And when you're the one asking questions, it's good to follow up. Let's say someone says, I'm a student. You can ask, oh, really? What are you studying? Or which university do you go to? That's how conversations become more meaningful.
That's true. Good follow-up questions make the other person feel that you're really listening. It also helps you practice your speaking and understanding skills.
Yes, and don't worry about making mistakes. The goal is to communicate, not to be perfect. Even native speakers make small grammar mistakes sometimes.
Absolutely. What matters most is connection. When you show interest and keep the conversation flowing, people don't focus on small errors. They focus on you.
I love that. So let's review some of the most useful question patterns that you can practice every day.
Sure. First, do you ... questions. Like, do you work here? Or do you like music?
Then, are you ... questions like, are you tired? Or are you ready?
Next, what and where questions. For example, what do you do? Where are you from?
And finally, how questions like, how are you? How do you get to work? Or how was your weekend?
Perfect. And remember, always answer with a little more than one word if you can. It makes you sound more natural and confident.
Yes. Even if you're a beginner, you can start small. For example, if someone asks, do you like English? Just say yes. Try, yes, I do. I like learning new words. That's how your speaking skills grow.
That's a great tip, Emily. The more you practice asking and answering questions, the faster your fluency improves.
Absolutely. It's not just grammar, it's communication.
Exactly. So, everyone listening, keep practicing your questions. Ask your friends, classmates, or even talk to yourself. Yes, really. Practice both sides, asking and answering.
That's the secret. The more you use these patterns, the more natural they'll feel every time you speak.
Let's also talk about tone and body language when asking and answering questions. Even simple questions can sound friendly or rude depending on how you say them. For example, if you say, what? Too quickly or too directly, it can sound impolite. But if you say, sorry, what did you say? Or, could you repeat that, please? It sounds much more natural and polite.
That's a really good point. In English, tone matters a lot. Smiling, keeping your voice calm, and using polite words like please, thank you, and excuse me can make a huge difference. It shows respect and makes the other person more comfortable talking with you.
Yes, and it's also helpful to use softeners, small words or phrases that make your question sound gentler. For example, instead of asking where is the toilet, you can say, excuse me, could you tell me where the toilet is? Please. It's longer, but it sounds much more polite.
Exactly. And this is very common in English-speaking countries. People often use polite forms when talking to strangers, teachers, or anyone they don't know well. It's part of showing good manners and respect.
That's right. And another polite way to ask questions is to use would you mind ... For example, would you mind helping me? Or would you mind telling me the time? It's very formal, but also very polite. Perfect for speaking to someone in public places or at work.
Yes, and you can answer politely too. For example, if someone asks, would you mind closing the window? You can reply, of course not, or not at all, and then do the action. It sounds friendly and natural.
Exactly. And when answering questions, always remember to sound engaged. Instead of short answers like yes or no, you can say, yes, I do, or no, I don't, but maybe I should. That little extra sentence keeps the conversation flowing.
I like that. You can even add small follow-ups like, what about you? Or how about yourself? It's an easy way to show interest and keep the talk balanced. For example, if someone says, do you like coffee? You can answer, yes, I do. I drink it every morning. What about you? Now both people are part of the conversation.
Exactly. That's what makes English sound natural. A real exchange, not just short question and answer.
Right. And if you're not sure what to say next, you can repeat part of the question in your answer. For example, if someone asks, "Where do you live?" you can say, "I live in London, near the city center." This pattern helps you sound fluent and confident.
That's a great tip for beginners. It's also good for pronunciation practice because you repeat words from the question.
Definitely. And speaking of pronunciation, when asking questions, remember that your voice usually goes up at the end for yes/no questions, like "Do you like music?" But it goes down for WH questions, like "Where do you live?"
Yes, and that's something that can make you sound much more like a native speaker. So, practicing intonation, how your voice rises and falls, is just as important as learning the words.
Exactly. You can even try listening to podcasts or movies and repeating out loud how they ask questions. Try to copy their rhythm, tone, and energy.
That's how you'll develop a natural English sound. It's not about speaking fast. It's about speaking clearly and naturally.
So, to all our listeners, keep practicing these patterns, asking politely, giving longer answers, and listening carefully. They'll help you connect better with people and build your confidence in every English conversation.
Now let's practice some real examples that you can use in daily life. Imagine you're meeting someone for the first time. You can start with a simple question like, "Where are you from?" That's an easy, friendly question that helps you learn about the other person. And when you answer, try something like, "I'm from Indonesia, but I live in London now." That gives more information and helps keep the conversation going.
Yes, that's a great one. And another very natural question is, "What do you do?" Or "What kind of work do you do?" If you're a student, you can say, "I'm a student at the university," or "I study English and computer science." If you're working, you might say, "I work in a coffee shop," or "I'm an engineer at a tech company." The key is to answer with just a little extra detail.
Exactly. And if you want to sound more conversational, you can add short connecting phrases like "actually," "well," or "you know." For example, "Well, I'm a student, but I also work part-time," or "Actually, I just started a new job last month." These small words make your English sound more fluent and relaxed.
That's so true. They also give you time to think. You don't have to answer instantly using a small phrase like "let me think" or "that's an interesting question." Helps you sound more confident even when you need a second to find your words.
Yes, and that's a really good skill to develop. It's not only about knowing vocabulary, it's about staying calm in conversation. You can even practice this by recording yourself. Ask questions and then answer them as if you're talking to someone. It's a great way to improve your fluency and comfort level.
I love that idea. Let's try a few more examples for our listeners. For instance, if someone asks you, "How was your weekend?" Instead of saying just "it was good," you can say "it was good." "I went out with my friends and watched a movie." That small addition makes your answer sound more natural and friendly.
Yes, and you can always ask the same question back. "How about you?" Or "What did you do?" That's one of the easiest ways to keep the conversation alive.
Exactly. That's how real conversations work, back and forth like a tennis game. You don't want to just answer and stop. You want to keep it moving.
That's a great way to think of it. Another example, if someone asks, "Do you like traveling?" you can reply, "Yes, I do. I love visiting new countries and trying local food. What about you?" It's simple, but sounds full and natural.
Right. And if you don't like something, you can still give an interesting answer. For example, "Not really. I prefer staying at home and watching movies." That still gives your partner something to respond to. And the conversation continues.
Exactly, Emily. Conversation is really about sharing a bit of yourself, your likes, your thoughts, your feelings. That's what makes English feel alive.
Yes. And that's why learning how to ask and answer questions is one of the most important skills for learners. Once you master it, you can talk with anyone, anywhere, in class, at work, or when traveling abroad.
So true. And remember, you don't need to sound perfect, even if your grammar accent is 100% to your politeness, tone, and confidence matter much more.
Exactly. People will appreciate your effort and want to talk with you more if you sound friendly and genuine. So keep practicing these everyday questions. They're the building blocks of great English communication. I think we've shared so many useful tips today, Nick, from how to ask polite questions to how to answer naturally and keep a conversation going. These are the kinds of skills that really help learners speak English with more confidence in daily life.
Absolutely. It's amazing how much smoother a conversation becomes when you know how to ask good questions and give thoughtful answers. Even simple things like your tone or adding a few extra words can make a big difference.
Yes. And to everyone listening, remember, don't be afraid to ask questions. Asking questions shows interest, respect, and curiosity. It's one of the best ways to build connections and make conversations flow naturally.
That's right. And when you answer, take your time. You don't have to rush. Speak clearly, give a bit of extra detail, and show your personality. That's what makes speaking English enjoyable. Not just correct grammar, but real communication.
Exactly. And as you keep practicing, you'll notice that English conversations start to feel easier and more natural every day.
So keep going, keep speaking, and keep asking questions. That's how you grow.
Thank you for joining us today on the British Accent Podcast. We hope you learned something useful and that you'll practice these conversation skills with confidence.
Yes, and don't forget, every time you ask and answer in English, you're getting closer to fluency.
That's a wonderful reminder, Nick.
We'll be back soon with another episode to help you learn and speak English in a simple, natural way.
Until next time, keep learning and keep shining.
See you soon, everyone, and thank you for listening to the podcast.